Another day, another unboxing. Actually, it's the second unboxing today. You guys are lucky. I got 2 phones this morning in the mail. You get 2 unboxings. That's how I roll. None of this waiting a day or whatever. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go check out my OnePlus Red unboxing. This is the red one. Today is Red OnePlus Day. So OnePlus 6 in red. Somewhere below here in the other videos. But this, what we're doing right now live, is unboxing the Moto Z3 Play. Moto Z3 Play, yes. There it is. So I'm excited about this one because I've always been a big fan of the Moto Z Play series. So the Moto Z, as you know, is the phone from Motorola, that is also a Lenovo company, by the way, that has the mods, the things that kind of magnetically click to the back. Now, I'm in my office here in Portland, not in San Francisco as usual, and that means that I don't have the mods with me, and I don't even have the old Z2 Play to compare with, sadly. But I'll walk you through what's changed because there's a lot of significant changes here. Now, of the Z Motos, there's been the Z Play, Z Force Z, and last year, Z2 Play and Z2 Force. And this year, so far, the Z3 Play. The Play series has been my favorite. They're kind of mid-range-ish in terms of specs. They're not flagship, but they are pretty high-end mid-rangers, and they always have a really good balance of features. I felt that last year's Z2 Play was the one to get. The Z2 Force was a bit of frumpy of a phone. It just didn't perform that great. Despite being a flagship, the camera was kind of crappy. It was the first dual camera on a Moto flagship. Anyway, we go on and on. I also recommend you look in the notes below once this video is finished. I'll add in the description a link to my Moto G6 review. I reviewed it for a Geekspin, which is a new website out there, and you'll see that a lot of the technology in this is kind of was inherited from the really awesome Moto G6 this year. Of course, it's a little more expensive and a little even more fancy, as it were, because this is a Z series and it has the mods. So that's a bit of a preamble, kind of fill you in. Of the original Motos, I still think the Z Play original was my favorite simply because it had, the Z Force was kind of too thick, the Z was too thin, but I did like the Zs. It's just, the Play was always kind of my favorite. Now, one of the reasons the Z and Z2 Play were my favorites was because they had a headphone jack. This is gone on the Z3 Play, so this is the first Play series phone in the Z from Moto that has no headphone jack. And so all the others never had a headphone jack, but the Play always did, and so as you can see, the box took a bit of a tumble somewhere in the shipping. A bunch of IMEIs here. So this is a 4 plus 64 gig version. There's a 4 plus 32 gig version. That's one of the first differences. The Z2 last year came in a 332 or 464, but this is 432 or 464, so that's a big change. I like these boxes that Moto's using, like with black on one side, red on the other. It's pretty hot. Of course, Moto mods. Yeah, here you go, Motorola, blah, blah, blah. What's included, some warning, seriously. Damn. All right, so you've seen the box. Let's go ahead and open this up. Well, I don't know. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Ooh, this is kind of coming out wrong. Let's just hold that. Ta-da! Such a tease. There's nothing in the box, by the way, in case you're wondering. All right, here we go. Nice and centered. There is nothing here, really. It was all on the outside of the box. So it's interesting that there's this little divider. I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but it doesn't really help anybody in any way, but there it is. And then you've got the phone right here, obviously. Let's see, I'm going to have to tip that open. So there's the phone. I'm going to give you a quick tease. As you can see, this is the first Z Play with a dual camera system. Exciting. I'm seeing some delays in my viewfinder. I'm not sure if it's just my phone overheating or the connection being poor, but I'm on a gigabit internet connection via Wi-Fi right now, so it shouldn't really be a problem. Fiber optic, baby. So there's a divider here, and there's more. Let's go through things one by one. I'll look at the phone in a minute. All right, so first you've got this, whatever this is. So probably some paperwork. Looks like paperwork, folks. We'll never escape the paperwork. And look, a SIM removal tool in here. Nice. Nothing down there. I don't think there's anything in this little compartment. Nope. and nothing here. Okay, so we got SIM removal tool. We got a Moto Z Play README. Probably like tells you all the basics. See that? Look at that. I know how cheesy you guys love it. Come on. Like I've had people complain on my YouTube channel that I don't show you the phone and it's too slow, but screw you. This is my style. This is what I do. I like to show you stuff like this first. So there you go. Now you have it. By the way, here's what's interesting. There are fingerprint sensors on the side like the Sony phones. And the reason for that is because there's no room on the back because that's where the Moto Mods go. And there's not much of a chin in the front, so they didn't put it in the front. So that's a big difference. Yeah, la 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 la. Charge it, and here's an example how to attach a mod. You know, same old. Okay, so this is not very exciting. Safety legal, I'll spare you that. That's in 2 languages. Oh, that's the Spanish. Okay, and then power pack. Oh, I guess maybe there's a power pack in the box. Nice. So we do have a mod up here finally in my office because I didn't bring anything up. It was very poor planning. I got them to send me the phone and forgot to take some mods up with me to show you. But I got all the mods. I got so many mods. I don't know what to do with them. It's like maybe I should just give them all away. All right, nah, I'm not gonna do that. They're kind of cool. All right, Hello Moto. That's done. Next is I think the battery pack. Yeah. Oh, I think I broke it. Yeah, no, it doesn't open like this. This is confusing. It opens like this again. So there you go. Oh, damn, I hate these things. Why don't they make it easier to open? Okay, here we go. So there's a tiny, very thin Moto mod, and as you can see, let me pull it out. If I can actually manage. There we go. Ooh, you got some good sound here. I know you love it when I remove the plastic from things. So let's just put this aside, shall we? So this is a Moto mod, and as you can see here, this is a 2200 milliamp hour battery. So that gives you 2200 milliamp hours. It's pretty super thin too, extra to stick on the back of the phone like that. Boom! Look at that. It makes it a little thick, but man, you now have 5200 milliamp hours because you get 3000 in the phone. 3000 plus 2200. Yeah, baby. So that's nice that they include a Moto mod in the box. I did not expect that. That's very cool. I know there was a promo they announced when they launched the phone, but I didn't think that promo applied to all the phones. So there you go. Then we've got, of course, the charger and stuff. So this is a turbo power charger. This is their high-speed charging system. It's proprietary to Moto. It says here power or turbo or whatever it's called. Turbo power. There we go. I don't know if you can see it there. A Moto logo, USB-A on one end. Now this does not require a special USB Type-C cable, unlike the OnePlus. So you've got Type A to Type C, right? Type A right here to Type C. And then you've got, a headphone adapter, right? Because there's no headphone jack on this one. So this looks a lot like the analog headphone adapter that the Moto Zs have been using. So this is actually an analog USB Type-C adapter, not a digital one like HTC uses or the Pixel or the Essential use or the Razer for that matter. So you should be aware there's 2 types of adapters and they're not always compatible. The Huawei P20 Pro and P20, for example, will work with both analog and digital adapters. But most phones are either digital only on the USB-C or analog only on USB-C, and the Motos are analog only. Of course, digital generally works because it's supported as a USB connection, right? So that's it in the box. We've got the full unboxing. Let's look at the phone, shall we? I know that's what you're waiting for. So boom, phone. God, it's shiny. It's a lot of glass this year. Last year there was a bit of a metal rim around there, so you wouldn't necessarily break it as easily when you dropped it, but theoretically you're always going to have a mod in the back, even if it's just like a skin mod. You know, they make these nice super thin wood mods that you just magnetically stuck on it, so it just basically gives them wood finish to the back of your phone or carbon fiber. It's really nice. Again, I have those, but they're not here. They're in my San Francisco office, so you're just going to have to deal with it. Sorry, folks. So what's the first thing I noticed compared to last year? It's an 18:9 display. That's the big difference. And the dual camera. First, Z Play with dual camera. Second, Z phone with a dual camera. The Z2 Force had one last year, and it kind of sucked, to be honest with you. So I hope this is better. There's no protection to remove on this side, but there's this nasty, nasty protector here I'm going to get rid of right now before we start up. You ready? Here we go. Ready for the sound? I know you love that sound. All right, so you can clearly see the 18:9 aspect ratio here. Let's power it up. Power button is on this side. Oh, it's on the left. Okay, wow, look at that. Full freaking screen. Let me put it down. So you can see a boot. Boot. See, I'm Canadian. You can tell, right? Every now and then I was like, a boot. and it boots. I'm just exaggerating now. It doesn't sound like that at all. So this is very similar to the G6 screen, the Moto G6, the super premium entry, mid-range, I guess, phone. This year it's super premium, and it has these rounded corners on the 18:9 display. This is a pure 18:9 display, 1080p, 6 inches. Remember, the Moto Z Play until now had a 5.5-inch 16:9 display, so this is a huge improvement. Big freaking deal. I love it already. Now, I'm still not happy about the lack of headphone jack. Seriously, Moto, what were you thinking? The Play should have a headphone jack. It's called Play. Anyway, it's pretty thin. It seems thinner than last year's, even though it's exactly the same battery, 3,000 milliamp hour. The camera bump is definitely more pronounced than last year's, at least that's what I seem to remember. So I don't have them side by side to try out. So anyway, in the front, you got the earpiece and various sensors. You got a front-facing camera there. No front-facing flash, which, as you know, Moto is very famous for putting on their phones. So that's interesting. And down the Motorola logo down here and the primary mic, but there is no no fingerprint reader or anything. This is not under the display either, because that's what we thought they were going to do for the Z series. I guess it's still too expensive and experimental. Left-hand side has the power lock key. Very odd placement, because the fingerprint reader is also on the other side, and it's not a power lock key, so that's confusing. You got USB Type-C down here, as all Moto's Z phones have always had. Remember, they're constrained by the form factor. They have to make this work with the mods. So there you have the left-hand side with the volume rocker and this super shiny fingerprint reader on the side here. Interesting. And then the mod connector, which is standardized, the Moto logo, and the dual camera system. So let me tell you a little bit what's changed. So the most obvious thing that's changed when you look at this phone compared to last year is the 18:9 display versus 6-inch 18:9 versus 5.5-inch 16:9, right? Same 1080p resolution, just have more vertical pixels. The other difference is the camera. Dual camera now. So what's technically changed? It's actually the exact same sensor for the main camera as last year. 12 megapixel, f/1.7, dual pixel autofocus, it's phase detect, and you have a 1.4 micron pixels on that main sensor. And the secondary camera, which I think is this tiny little thing there, is just a 5 megapixel fixed focus lens for depth sensing. Similar to what the G6 has. It has a 2 megapixel secondary camera, really nothing to write home about, just gives it depth sensing. So that's changed, but again, the main camera specs are the same. The front camera has improved though. So the Z2 Play last year had a 5 megapixel f/2.2 with 1.4 micron pixels. This has an 8 megapixel f/2.0 with 1.12 micron pixels. So smaller pixel size, but better aperture and more pixels, 8 versus 5. That's exciting. Interesting, there's actually not just one primary mic, there's dual primary mics, so that means it probably does some sort of fancy noise reduction algorithm. And on top, by the way, I didn't show you the top yet, this is important, there's a SIM slot right here, SD card, SIM slot, and another mic here, secondary. So it has 3 mics, potentially 4. Yeah, there's a 4th one in the back, so this has got to get a pretty good mic array built in, and that never gets covered by the mods, by the way. It's always designed to be open. So there you have it. Now it's more of a glass sandwich. It's shiny metal on the sides. I don't know what the other colors are. I should probably check the reviewer's guide. I'm such a terrible person not reading up on things, but I did read up on the specs, which I think was important to me. So let me walk you some of the other changes. So I talked to you about the cosmetic changes. And again, no headphone jack's a big difference. Camera is dual. Screen is 18:9. That's the big differences off the top of the head. You no longer have a 3 gigabyte version. I mentioned that when I showed you the box. The choices are 432 or 464. This is 464. Both cases you get micro SD. Last year it was 332 and 464. And then the processor has been bumped up from a Snapdragon 626 to a Snapdragon 636. So a newer chip, probably more power efficient, but the battery is still 3,000 milliamp, which should be a champ. The Z series has always been phenomenal at battery life, so I expect nothing to have changed there. And that's basically it. Everything else is all the Moto goodness you'd expect. A very lightweight skin on the software. This is Android 8 Oreo. Of course, we're going to hopefully get P soon. You get the latest updates from Moto for security pretty regularly. They're pretty good at this stuff. And I believe this phone, like all Moto Z phones, will also work with Verizon and Sprint if you put a SIM card in there from these two carriers. And what I mean by work is I don't mean just 4G LTE. I mean full-on CDMA 2G, 3G coverage for the old networks, which is really important to have for some of you. So if you want to buy an unlocked phone that'll work on any network in the US, this is your bread and butter, baby. So I'm going to wrap up this video because it's running a bit long, but I figured you'd want to know more about this phone because we've been waiting for this phone for a little while now, and it's pretty awesome. Honestly, I've been a big fan of the Z series, especially the Z Play, and I love the Moto Mods, even though I know they don't really sell that well, but it's very clever that they put this battery pack in there. Not only does it protect the rear glass, if it didn't come with a battery pack, I would have waited till I get back to San Francisco and put the super thin bamboo magnetic back cover that I have, which is super thin, just like a skin basically. But this basically gives it mega battery life. 5,200 milliamp hour. This thing could go probably 2.5 days with this configuration. Very cool stuff. I'm looking forward to putting this through its paces. Maybe I'll get a chance to review it somewhere. But right now, it's just going to be my YouTube. And of course, I'll talk about it on my podcast. Remember, folks, like this video, thumbs up, all that good stuff. I didn't say it on the red on OnePlus 6 unboxing. One box? Wow. But you know that this is not the main thing. My YouTube channel is just an accessory to my podcast, right? MobileTechPodcast.com is where it's at. That's MobileTechPodcast.com. We're on Slacker, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Pocket Cast. Just look for Mobile Tech Podcast and my Twitter handle, Tankgirl, TNKGRL. It's Tankgirl, like the comic book character without the vowels, and you'll be able to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. This is where I talk about all these phones and give my opinions and reviews and all that good stuff. I always have some great guests on, so tune in, okay? Thumbs up, subscribe to the podcast. I don't have to tell you to do this stuff. You know it now. Cheers, everybody. Laters.